they show different cities. I'd like you to compare and contrast the life you would imagine in these cities, and tell me which city you would prefer to live in. So compare and contrast the cities, please.
Yes. In the picture that's above, I can see a much older type of city. It's probably of the, I don't know, a European city, and while the second picture, the one below, it's probably one in America. Now, I think in the second one, in the one below, there's much more developed living conditions. Is quite, it seems quite a modern city, while the one above shows me a much more traditional lifestyle. I would prefer to live in the one above because I think it's much more calm to live in it. The one below, in the one below, I will be like much more in a much more stressful way of living.
Why?
Because it seems a much more populated city, and well, there are a lot of different causes: the traffic, the type of people, the different characteristics these people apply to in society, like how they behave towards each other. I don't like that type of living conditions. Also, from where I come from Tequisquiapan. It's a small town, and I'm accustomed to live in a small town all my life, so it will be easier for me to live in the one above.
Ethel, which city would you prefer to live in, and why?
I would prefer to live in the picture, well, the city, the first picture, because it seems, even though it doesn't, the buildings doesn't seem so modern or new, as Gerardo was saying, they seem kind of old, but I consider that if I would live in that city, my personality and like values would develop more, because the people, because as it looks like a traditional city. It's like diversified and maybe not so much big, so it's easier to meet the people and know each other. Well, not all of them, but.
Right. Looking at the next two pictures, Ethel, observe these two pictures, and these two situations perhaps these people are in. What do they have in common? How are they similar and yet different?
Well, these two pictures are similar in the way that the people that are in it, they are like focused in what they are doing. Maybe something they like. For example, in the first picture there are a lot of books, so the person that's there likes to read. And in the picture below seems like a security room or something, cameras, and the person that's warding seems to enjoy the thing they're doing. In what they differ is in the picture above, I can't see any technology, only books. And in the one below, there's this big TV, and with all resolutions and graphics, which the man is looking at.
If we take into consideration that both of these pictures represent different ways of doing research, which situation would you prefer to be in and why?
I would prefer to be in the first picture because if I would research something, it would be in books because I like more books and I can understand them better, and I'm not so good at with technology, so it's easier for me to search at a book than at a computer.
What about you, Gerardo? Which of these two situations would you rather do research in?
I would prefer the second one because there is a much more expanded way of seeing sources, different sources. In the one below, I can find a lot more of information if I'm investigating something, and obviously it's not as reliable as the first one, but I can find, for example, if I'm looking for a problem, investigating a problem, I can find a lot more of perspectives that I can expand my perspective about a problem in the second one. And in the first one, it's much more difficult to really find different perspectives about a certain subject.
Okay, so imagine the two of you guys are living in a foreign country, studying in a foreign university, and you have vacation, but you have limited money for that vacation. And so you need to determine what form of transportation the two of you will use in order to travel and get to know more areas of the country. You're going to discuss the benefits and disadvantages and advantages of each of these forms of transportation and then reach a conclusion together.
Okay. So
But we need to discuss. Okay. The first one, the car. I think it's a bit expensive to because of the gasoline on in that aspect, but it will be a fast way of transportation.
yeah, but it's also expensive to rent a car, and then if you have an accident, you need to pay for it. So it's one of the most expensive way.
Yes. Now the bicycle, I think it's obviously not that expensive, but you can suffer from an injury, you know, in your legs, in your body, and it's very how could I say it? You can't go that fast, and if you have a specific amount of time going to for vacations, it's not as recommended going bicycle.
Yeah. Also, as you said, it's cheap, but either you can have an injury and you can get tired of bicycling. Yeah. Well, the train, I think it depends on which train. It's like not so much expensive, and there are like some routes that you can stop in by bigger cities.
Yes, I think it depends on the country you are visiting because some trains are really expensive, but other are like very cheap. So I think it's one of the most recommended ways of transportation, the train.
Yeah.
But well, now the bus. I think it's a bit expensive because, well, comparing it to the train, it's much more expensive the bus, and you're probably using the same amount of time going from place to place.
Yeah, well, I think the bus is a bit slower than the train, and the bus can be much more expensive than the train. And if there's like traffic, if there's traffic, then you can't get to your travel.
Now
There,
I think it's much more slower than the bus. Well, or not much more slower, but it's expensive because you will need to pay to rent it, and then the gasoline, and it will be almost the same amount of time as the bus or the train. But how I was saying, much more expensive.
yes. And you need to drive, so if you go alone, then you need to stop and sleep.
And now the last one, I think it's a bit insecure to just tell people randomly to give you
Right.
a ride. So it's quite, it's fast and it's very cheap, but it's very insecure. You are risking yourself quite a lot.
A lot, yes, because you go with strangers, and it's, yeah, totally insecure.
So I think the best one is the train.
Yes.
Because, yes, in conclusion, the best one is the train because it's probably one of the cheapest ones, and it's also fast.
And
you are not,
safe.
and it's safe.
Yes.
It's secure.
Thank you.
Yes.